Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are back with a Tuesday midweek, mid-daytime special. Good to see 24 already in the chat, Dean. I wasn't expecting so many.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, as probably caught a few people out, but hopefully they're all getting alerts right now to know that we're going at a bit of a different time. Tiffany says, good morning, 8 a.m. here. Good morning, Tiffany. Hope this is a good
Tiffany,
start to your day.
Where would that be? Dean, you're familiar with that. That's probably USA, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm guessing East Coast somewhere, yeah. So let us know, Tiffany, exactly where you are. You'd think we'd know a lot of this by now, the people that are in the chat every week, but yeah, let us know again, Tiffany, exactly where you are. But yeah, thanks everyone for jumping on. Do you know what, mate? I did mention this in our WhatsApp group. I had an absolute mare. Straight off the back of our show, last time out, we talked about the transfers we were going to make. I was like, okay, conceded to the fact I needed to make a -8. Put it straight in. Like, I was sat on this sofa straight after. I was like, right, set up my subs, set up my transfers, got it all in place. And then something happened and I went off, got on with whatever it was. And the next day, at whatever type, 5 minutes after deadline, someone in my other group went, everyone do their transfers like everyone always does. And I was like, I didn't. I actually didn't. I had this like, oh my goodness, I actually didn't.
You casual.
It hasn't been a disaster, but there's still a lot of games to go, and I've definitely got fewer double gamers than everybody else around me. So
you will have a free transfer next week, though. You'll have 2 moves, which is quite nice.
I will. Like, I don't think it's going to be a disaster, but it's not ideal, especially March and Mitoma were in there, and they got 1 point each.
Yeah, although they're going to bang second time round. But yeah, no, I feel... Mate, when you've been speaking FPL for an hour, as we do on a Friday night, I sometimes feel that I've spoken about it. I've seen my team on screen, which is often my team post transfers anyway. I must admit, even me that thinks about FPL every minute of every day, even I've gone, oh, I actually didn't make my move, so I need to do that now. I mean, it's never been after a deadline, but I've been close.
Good,
yeah, sorry.
Thanks, mate.
In the chat, Tiffany is in Ohio. We've got Paul from France. We've got James from Brooklyn. Mark's North London, baby. Oscar's in Lagos. Love that. Jodie's in South Africa. So we've got chasers from all over the world. And if you're watching this on catch up, loads that will probably usually watch in the evening hours in the UK will be catching up. So stay with us for the next hour. Drop a comment in the YouTube. Make sure you hit like and, of course, subscribe. Coming up in the next hour, we've got some reflection on what we've seen so far this game week, but also what we're expecting for the next... I think there's 8 teams still to play. There's 4 more fixtures.
Yeah.
We'll go through some notebook stuff, some eye test stuff. We'll look at our teams and, of course, be answering your questions all in the next 55 minutes. Dean, it was such a high-scoring weekend that if Arsenal-Chelsea tonight hits 5 goals, it will be a Premier League record for the amount of goals in a standard game week where all teams played once, in a standard round of fixtures. So Arsenal-Chelsea, the only 2 not to play. But it was goals galore, wasn't it? I mean, Liverpool-Spurs, for me, was the highlight. And from an FPL perspective, I feel like Liverpool was a team we're all really heavily invested in. Many of us have sold Harry Kane as well. So that fixture was quite telling. Like, we'll look more later, perhaps, about some of those Liverpool attacking assets, but it's an interesting one, isn't it? Salah's not quite so essential.
No, not so essential. No, our producer just described him as a ghost before we were coming on.
He's captained him. He's captained the ghost.
He has. Grateful for a penalty, but it was a tough one to read that game. Obviously, it was one of the strangest games. But yeah, you had the 4-3. You had Brighton 6-0 with basically a B team. That's obviously got the averages up massively. The 6-0 really reminded me of what happens at this stage of the season. You just get such weird results from teams that are on the beach or teams that have nothing to play for, or injuries, whatever it is. So it kind of again put this question of doubt in my head about what I should be planning for in these coming weeks. Quick shout out to 82 Paul Mack, who says it's the first time seeing us live. He's in Perth, Australia. Bill too, he's in Raleigh. You've got all sorts of different people all around the world today. I think generally, I think we get a lot of people from England Here in England, it's 1 p.m. right now. So other parts of the world are either possibly pre-work or after work, whereas at the moment, all the UK lot are at work. So they're all skiving off. Anyone that's in the UK right now is skiving off of work to come and watch us. So we do appreciate that, but don't get in trouble.
Paul Mack, love that in Perth, Australia. If we can, Paul, we'll put your message on the screen. But that's awesome. I'm glad that you're supporting us all the way from Perth. That's awesome. Jota came through for us, says Oscar. Yeah, we should touch on Jota. Look, we'll save the Liverpool chat actually and the Jota chat for tips and chips, because later on I've got a dedicated section. But obviously, if you watch Friday's stream, you'll know Dean and Ian had a lot of fun sweating, watching me sweat on will Jota or won't he start. So yeah, other big scorelines from the week, games and headlines from the weekend just gone. I guess we should touch on that relegation scrap on Monday night. Leicester 2, Everton 2. I didn't actually watch the game. I watched the highlights this morning, but I did watch the XG chart, sort of post-match graphic. And I think it was the highest XG in a single half of football. It was like, it could have been 5-something XG just in the first 45 minutes. It was ridiculous.
It was stupid. Yeah, it was stupid. It wasn't a Premier League football match. It was like a throwback to the 90s, the sort of stuff we used to see there, where there was just like acres of space to run into. You could try stuff. Like it was mad. It was desperation basically from these two teams, and it was exactly why they're both in the situation that they are. It was a fun watch as a neutral. If you supported either of them, it was probably anything but. But yeah, it was a really good game actually. It's so tense down there. We're going to talk about the Leeds situation in a minute when we get to the notebook section. But obviously, Leeds has just got really interesting too. Briz Eagle says hi from Bangkok, Thailand. Hi to you, mate. Thanks for tuning in.
That's mental. I actually don't think. I wonder what percentage of our watchers are in the UK. You know,
well, apparently it's 70%.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think we do have, like, in terms of subscription and stuff, I think it's 70%. We are largely a UK show still, which actually does surprise me, given the fact that whenever we see these comments, it doesn't seem like that's the case. Mark says multitasking, Dean, multitasking. So he's definitely in the UK, not working right now.
Maybe it's something to do with, I don't know, if you're overseas, you're more likely to watch live, or maybe if you're overseas, you're less likely to subscribe. So for all those international watchers right now, whether you're Khaled in Kuwait or Brazil in Bangkok, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I'm thinking some of our internationals aren't subscribing, mate, if it says 70%. England.
Oh, that's out of order if you're not subscribing.
Well, order.
Keep me and G going.
Well, out of order. Luke's in. I think Luke might be in Brixton. He's in London, definitely. Let us know, Luke. He says, "Afternoon, guys. Was so impressed by Pascal Gross from an FPL point of view versus Wolves. That second goal, better value pick than March, maybe. Yeah, but the problem with Pascal Gross is half his games will be at right back, where he doesn't offer the same threat as someone like March. But yeah, fair play. I think it's too late now to be swapping between Brighton assets. I think we probably stay with the players we're committed to. But yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. Let's move on, because Dean's got some juicy bits for us in the notebook section, and then I have in the eye test report as well. So I think we're going to do eye test first. So let's go eye test report first, and then notebook. Run. Just bringing up my notes for which 3 players I was going to. There's so many players I could touch on this week, but I did commit to 3, and that was it. It was okay. So first up, I'm actually going to save. First up was going to be Jota, but I'm going to save that for tips and chips, because we're going to talk about Liverpool attack then. So I'm just going to do 2. So we'll do Jota later. I want to do Wilson, and then I'm going to do a bit of Alvarez at Man City. So it's both forwards. Callum Wilson, the stats are insane, right? So he comes, like, let's go back a little bit. Since Isaac's been signed, we haven't really seen them play together. We've seen them play together. I haven't really seen them start together. So we've seen like 20 minutes, 45 minutes where they've been on the pitch together, and it's always looked really good. But Eddie Howe is definitely reluctant to start them both together. Now, is that a combination of, I like my wide forwards on the pitch and I like one number 9, and I don't see Isak as a wide forward, I see him as a striker? Or is it a combination of Callum Wilson can't play 2-3 games a week consistently, because if he does, he gets injured? And that's the quote I took. I think I saw it from, the 1st of May. I see a lot of positives, because it means we can be careful over Wilson's minutes. This is what Howe said
Yeah.
post-match. In a 3-game week previously, Callum would probably have played every game, and that might have meant he picked up an injury, but now that's not the case. So we're going to see rotation, but Newcastle have a big double game week in 36. We're going to want one of these guys in our team, and the big question is it Isak or Wilson? Now, Isak will get more minutes, but Wilson, if he starts, is arguably the most potent forward in the game. Like his points per minute, I think probably only second to Haaland. They're better than Harry Kane's. In the last 6 game weeks, he's only played 309 minutes, 8 goals, 1 assist. Like 16 shots, 8 big chances. This is a guy, if we know he starts, we want in our team come game week 36. And Isak's amazing when he's on the pitch with Wilson too. Isak is the creator and Wilson's the finisher. I like that.
Yeah, I think I was going to bring Isak this week as one of my transfers that never happened. It hasn't really hurt me so far. And now you're talking about it like that. Maybe Wilson's the one. Like, I'm just not sure. When if he plays and he scores 2, that's great. But he's obviously got this desire, Callum Wilson, to make sure he doesn't end up the forgotten man of this team, right? He's very, very full of belief in his own ability. He feels that he should be the main man for this team. I've seen interviews with him. I think, is it Michael Antonio? They set like a
the
challenge
BBC one.
Yeah, that's quite good. And they set this goal challenge with each other. Yeah. And you can see even in that how much he backs himself.
Yeah.
And I think that is echoed in moments like this when he's in form. And I think because you're at Newcastle and you can see that like the project that they were promising is actually going to happen. Newcastle are going to be in the Champions League next season. They are going to sign more players. And slowly they're going to have to drop off some of these players that were part of the project before the money arrived. And Callum Wilson's probably right on the verge of being one of those players. Yeah. So I think that's probably where the desire and the hunger comes from for him. And
agreed.
I just think that maybe he's the one that you want in this run-in.
It's funny, like on that same pod, and I've only heard a few social media clips with Antonio. He was quoted saying something the other day on Isak, something like, yeah, watching him score is great because Newcastle won the game. But he was like, but it's bittersweet. And I'm like, whoa, like, of course you think that. Like, I'd think that if I was on the bench, but I wouldn't say it. Like, he's really willing to say it's bittersweet. Like, watching my rival score a goal when your team's just about to get top 4. Like, clearly the competition is there. The numbers from the weekend is a good sample size, right? So we're saying Isak can get 90 minutes. It's not a good sample size. It's one game, but it's a good sample to take. So Isak gets 90 minutes over the weekend. He got 0.44 XG, which isn't bad at all. That was all through, XGA. That was all through assists.
Yeah.
So his XG was 0.00. So he didn't have a single shot, but he clocked good assist threat. Callum Wilson played 45 minutes. His XGI was 0.38, of which 2.38, of which 2.37 came from expected goals and 0.01 from expected assists. In 45 minutes of football, he racked up an XG of over 2. Like, that's unheard of. So without a penalty, like, he's just the big chances fall Wilson's way. And Isak is very happy to turn provider. The weekend shows that.
I think so.
I like the fact they'll play together. I think now they've got top 4 kind of sorted. I think Howe's going to go into next season going, I want to see these guys playing together because it affects my moves in the transfer market if I see them as a duo. And I think we'll get a couple of starts with them together.
Yeah, maybe. It's really interesting the way that Newcastle have changed things a little bit just to make sure they stayed on track. Eddie Howe's been so smart about this. But like I say, they've all got that threat of the transfer window in the summer. Like, Isak will be confident that he's not going to be a victim of that. But everybody else, they could be replaced. Nobody's irreplaceable, I don't think.
Yeah. Brighton and Newcastle are the 2 teams that double in 36. It's going to be a really interesting week for captaincy. Brighton's 36 fixtures are Arsenal away, Newcastle away. I don't think many of us will want to go to a Brighton asset with those 2 away games. So I think we'll captain Newcastle players that game week. Haaland plays Everton, by the way, in a single game week. So maybe we go there. But Newcastle play Leeds away, which if Big Sam wasn't there, we'd be looking at Newcastle going, it has to be on a Newcastle player, but now maybe that changes. And then it's Brighton at home. So I think the Newcastle forward we bring in that game week, whether it's Isak or Wilson, I think many of us, and probably including myself, will be looking to give him the armband unless you go Trippier, but they've only kept 1 clean sheet in 13, Newcastle. So
yeah, that's true.
it's an interesting debate. They're the same sort of price. I think there's 0.2 between them. At the moment, I'm looking at Wilson, but I know from those 2 games I'll probably only get 1 start. So let's see, that could change.
Yeah, is Trippier still worth having, do you think, by the way? Is he, because he's not been like getting many points recently because they're conceding all these goals?
Yeah, he's been rubbish. I think we probably hold because of the double, but yeah.
There's like 6 games in a row now, all 2 points, and there's one pointer.
It's bad.
It's a really bad run from him.
Yeah, it's really bad. Like, because he not only was he getting clean sheets, but he was clocking bonus points for fun.
Yeah.
But he needed the clean sheet to get that, and then obviously the assists were coming too. But yeah, I think we probably hold, and we hope that against in that double we get a clean sheet. But look, let's move on from Newcastle. The other I mentioned 2 players I was going to touch on. The other one is Alvarez. Now, those that took a punt on him, 6 million forward, double game week, you looked at it and thought, Man City fixture congestion. Me, Dean, and Ian discussed it on Friday. We said he'll probably get 1 game in the next 2 or 3. He'll probably get a start in the next 2 or 3. No one knew KDB was injured. So Alvarez owners, fair play for punting, good shout, but you've got massively lucky with the Kevin De Bruyne injury because now you're probably getting 2 starts. You could get 180 minutes, which for a 6 million Man City forward that's as clinical as he is, so lucky. But you have to put yourself in a position to get lucky in FPL, and by buying him you absolutely did that, and you thought different and it worked. So fingers crossed for Alvarez owners. I hope you get another goal midweek, but yeah, he looks good. If De Bruyne is out for any more than a game, I think we go again. I think he's a great pickup. Goodbye.
It's really, he's only getting in the team if De Bruyne or Haaland is out. Like he doesn't get in otherwise. I think he's got 8 starts, is it? And I think it's been replacing one of those 2 players each time.
Yeah.
When he plays with Haaland, he has done pretty well, to be fair. But when you see the way that he plays, he's just brilliant. And it's going to become, I reckon, tempting for Pep to try and see a little bit more of that combination because the threat of it is ridiculous. Like, defenders don't know what to do. His goal against Fulham was just stupid. But that is the thing to bear in mind. Like, you're not going to get very often all 3 of those players on the pitch at the same time. And when it comes to the crunch and you're trying to close out trophies, he's probably going to go with the experience of De Bruyne whenever he can.
Yeah, I think so. I'm with you on that, especially for the running. De Bruyne loves this time of the season as well, and he's fit. We saw it last year, and we saw him against Arsenal, man possessed. Let's bring up a couple of comments. Mark says, so annoyed with myself for not following through on Alvarez.
Unlucky, mate.
Yeah, that is unlucky. Luke says Trippier and Ederson recently with the handshake emoji, like both of them just not keeping clean sheets when you expect them to. Popular FPL options. Josh says Trippier should create more chances. Mark says he knew KDB was injured. Yeah, I mean, look, he came off against Arsenal and apparently he asked to come off, but it wasn't reported. Pep said in the press conference, our only injury is Ake. He said, hey, we've got a fully fit squad to choose from. He was lying. Someone needs to kiss KDB's boo-boo, says Tiffany. Love that. Thank you guys for all the comments. We do read absolutely everyone. Gets Footy says, shame there was no appeal for Newcastle midfielders. I hear that.
Yeah,
I do wonder
really,
if there was. Do you remember Almiron at the start of the season? He was amazing.
Yeah,
I wonder if Almiron has a little twinkle in the end of the season.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not even sure Almiron stays around the club for much longer. The way that Newcastle are moving forward, you just don't know how fast they're going to evolve. I mean, David's talked about rank here. What do you think is a good, like from your point of view, mate, where you are? What is now considered a good rank for like someone that takes this as seriously as you do?
I still go off the classic 1%. I reckon if you're getting in the top 1%, that's a good benchmark. Historically, top 10K was always a benchmark, but you only have to watch like some of the really big FPL YouTubers to go, they get 100,000 views on a video and it's like, oh, there's 100,000 people out there consuming FPL content on YouTube. Plus, right? A lot more. So your top 10K now, knowing there's so many managers following so much content on FPL Twitter, on YouTube, whatever. I personally think that top 100K is probably a new sort of threshold we should be using. And that's around 1%. I mean, I think there's about 11 million managers in the game. So yeah, that top 1% of that would be 110. Is that right? My maths is rubbish, but just around 100K.
Yeah. You'll be there, won't you?
I don't know if I'm going to be there. I started this game week, I think, on around 160. I'm now at 190. I'm on a massive red arrow, but I've got 10 of my 11 still to play. And I hate mid-game week ranks because I'm like, oh, mid-game week, it's just so rubbish. Like, let's
it's not
compare
worth
at the end of the
judging,
game
is it?
week.
Yeah, it's not worth judging, especially when you've had things like the March Matoma thing where they've both been left out and they've got another game. Like,
Yeah.
you're actually better not. I know it's impossible not to look at how you're doing, but you're almost better not because you know what your team is. Like, you know how they've done.
Honestly, on weeks when I don't do FPL content, I genuinely ignore my rank, and then I go and do like a video like this, or I do a scout team reveal, and on that I have my rank always displayed, so I see it, and I'm like, no, I don't want to see it mid-game week. It's rubbish. I've just looked at the total players, the total managers. Yeah, it's 11.4 million managers. So yeah,
we should definitely have more
1% of that.
subscribers then to this channel if there's 11.4 million people playing this game.
Yeah,
we need to go on a marketing push.
Yeah, we do.
I want
guys.
11
Come
million viewers.
Help us out, guys. Help us out. And look, we've got world number one, not with us in the chat now. He'll be watching on catch up. Ali Hangarov follows this show from all the way in Azerbaijan. He's on a wild card. He wild carded in Kevin De Bruyne just before the deadline on Saturday morning. We were WhatsApping. He actually asked me for advice on his wild card like half an hour before the deadline on WhatsApp, and I was like, dude, you're world number one. I can't give you advice. But yeah, he went. I did.
You didn't tell him to take KDB, did you?
I did say that's a nice differential. I said, yeah, stick with him. He had another version with Grealish. I said, no, go KDB.
Doesn't matter too much, but
I think he's still there. Which is good. Tiffany says, I fell a bit to 170. Now I need KDB and Jota to smash it. Yeah, Jota's going to do well. Don't you worry about that. He'll start versus Fulham. Let's move off the eye test. Go to Notebook. Then we're going to see our teams and go through the tips and chips section, which is going to be focused on the Liverpool attack. There's some interesting data to show you there. So the Notebook up next.
Yeah, so I think we just to really focus on the breaking news, really, which is over at Leeds, where they've got rid of the director of football, Victor Orta. Obviously, a lot of venom was aimed his way after the 4-1 defeat against Bournemouth, but Javi Gracia is also a dead man walking at this point, with Sam Allardyce set to replace him. Maybe we thought he was already dead man, but he's not. He's going to come back from the dead. He hasn't been in football since leaving West Brom in May 2021. So to put him into a job like this 2 years later is a big call. It's a massive call. But I guess you need to try something. Like, they've got 4 games left. They are very hard matches that Leeds have got left. Like, their fixture list is really as tough as you could really expect it to be at this stage. I'll just get the games up that Leeds have got coming. Man City away, Newcastle home, West Ham away, Tottenham home. I mean, they've all got stuff to play for. And to be honest, I think they're all better than Leeds. So
only 2 of them are home games as well. Because you look at that and go, oh, maybe Ellen Road saves them. But they've got to win that. Well, home to Newcastle and home to Spurs. Can they win either of those?
I mean, Spurs maybe, and who knows what Spurs will be like by the last day of the season. But say Spurs have probably got something to play for in the last day of the season, potentially. Like
Harry Kane's last game.
Might be Harry Kane's last game and he bags 6 just to sign off. Like, you don't know what you're going to be getting. But, I mean, it's not good. I mean, Javi Gracia, like, I was speaking to my mate who's a Leeds season ticket holder to get a grasp of exactly why it's been so bad. And he's like, there's just no plan B with Gracia. His in-game management isn't good. I mean, there's been moments when he hasn't made substitutions at the times when he should have. I think he's kind of mismanaged his substitution windows at times as well. The decision to not play Nonto at times
that was crazy.
I mean, that is going to always, but if that doesn't pay off, a decision like that is going to backfire. And I think Leeds would also be thinking, hang on, we're not only fighting right now for our place in the top flight, we're going to lose players like Nonto if we go down. And like, you've done really well to get someone like that through the door. So they've got to give it one last push here. They are just outside the relegation zone as it stands. Forest just below them, but they're on the same points. Interesting to see if Forest are brave enough to stick with their manager at this point, because sometimes you see your rival sack their manager and do something different. You're tempted to do the same thing. Steve Cooper's been under pressure for ages at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
They keep saying, we're sticking with him, we're sticking with him. And the fans obviously do love him because he's got them into the Premier League. But you never know. You never know. I wouldn't totally rule out Forest feeling the aftershocks of what's just happened at Leeds and being like, should we do that as well?
Yeah, but Big Sam's been taken now, and so's Dyche, and so's Hodgson. Three that you might go for.
Harry Redknapp, Tony Pulis, and Rafa Benitez. Wow. And Rafa Benitez. They're your options. There you go. Who's going to save you? All three of them were linked with Leeds as well at the same time as Allardyce.
I think from those names, with 4 games to go, I absolutely think Allardyce is the right option. Just going to throw it out there. Yeah. Like he is Mr. Clean Sheet if you need a clean sheet.
He is. And you know what? Like when Hodgson went into Palace, there was obviously a bit of ageism about it. Like he's 75, whatever he is. And it's like having your granddad manage a bunch of 20-year-olds, like all these things. Look at Palace's form. Look at what he's done. So I think maybe that helps you make the decision to bring Allardyce back into football. Maybe you're like, look, the guy knows how to keep a team in the Premier League. He's actually got experience of it. He's completely different character. I mean, look, we probably shouldn't get into the debate of how you start off with Marcelo Bielsa and end up with Sam Allardyce. I mean,
in the same season,
you've gone way off piece in your season plan, haven't you, at that point? And for Leeds, this is really a disaster that they're staring at. But yeah, Zugi says Big Sam already in talks to sign Phil Jagielka and Roque Santa Cruz. And this is the thing, really. Like, at least with Big Sam, when he's had to come in as a firefighter before,
he's had a window, hasn't he?
He's had a window, hasn't he? So he's been able to get some characters and some people he knows to come in and around him. Got 4 games to save a team that are absolutely spiraling. They've been in horrible form. For 4 games, really, 5 games now. Where do you leave us on the FPL front? I mean, does it mean you can trust Leeds defenders again? Not sure. Does it mean you can go for Nonto again? Maybe.
I mean, but from an FPL perspective, I think it's bad in the respect that we were looking at Leeds fixtures and targeting them for our attackers for their opponents. So we saw Leeds play Man City in 35, Newcastle in 36, and Newcastle on a double game week there. So I think we were looking, going, shall we buy Alvarez for a 1-week punt versus Leeds? Shall we buy Isak or Wilson for the double game week against Leeds? Now it's like, we might still make those moves, but Leeds aren't going to go lose 4-5-0 under Big Sam. They're just not. I don't think, so I don't think, whilst we're not looking to recruit Leeds players, we were looking to target them for their defensive frailty, but not so sure we are now.
Yeah, no, that is a good point, to be fair. But yeah, it's an unbelievable situation at the bottom that we've got on our hands right now. It's so close, and basically Southampton have now gone. I'm writing them out. Southampton are relegated from the Premier League.
I'm with you.
And then you've got Everton and Forest currently in the relegation zone on 29 points and 30 points. And then also on 30 points are Leeds and Leicester. I'm drawing the line at Leicester. I think West Ham will be all right. They've got a game in hand. They're a better team than all those below them, to be fair. So we've got 4 teams and 2 of them are going down. Leicester, Leeds, Forest and Everton. Where are you right now? Who are you saying goes?
I'm just looking at the fixtures. So if we go through them one by one, Everton have got 2 very winnable games. So Everton play Brighton, then Man City, but then they finish the season with Wolves and Bournemouth, both of which will be safe by the time they play them. So I can see, so Everton could, it's in their hands, quite comfortably. Yeah. It's in a lot of their hands. So, okay, I'm looking at that thinking Everton can stay up. I look at Leicester's fixtures, Fulham away, win the ball, Liverpool home, no chance. Newcastle away, I don't think they'll win that. And then West Ham at home, end the season, maybe. I don't know. I think and then Forest. What's your take with Forest?
Depends if they sack the manager or not. So they've got Southampton next, which is the best fixture you could hope for.
Have to win.
They have to win that game. Nottingham Forest have to win at the weekend or they are going down. After that, they've got Chelsea away. That could be the only game that Frank Lampard wins as Chelsea manager. Then they've got Arsenal at home. They won't win that. and then they've got Crystal Palace away. Who knows on the last day of the season what that's gonna throw up? But they've got hope. So looking at the fixtures, I think Leicester and Leeds for me
Yeah.
look like they're going down.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I
Right,
look at that and think Everton will pick up 4 points minimum from those last 2 games, I think. So
Yeah.
I think Everton will stay up. And I think Everton were good at times last night. So then it's one of, Forest, Leeds, or Leicester. I guess I look at the fixtures there and think Leeds, but I just think Sam could work a miracle. But I don't know which games they win out of those. I can see a clean sheet or 2 for a draw. They're not beating.
Yeah.
Maybe they beat Spurs on the last day at Ellen Road.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good point just made by Mark that West Ham might have a European final on the horizon and will be resting players for the last game, which is Leicester. And that, honestly, this is the thing with FPL, isn't it? Like once you get down to those last 2 weeks, anything could happen. You might as well. There should be a random button that you can choose at the end of the season. It just picks a random bunch of players that are playing in games that actually matter. Because otherwise, it all goes out the window. The logic's gone on that last day of the season.
The last day of the season is always fun, but West Ham won't be rotating players, Mark, or whoever said it, because Conference League final is on the 7th of June. The last day of the season is the 28th of May. So if they rested players, they'd have to go from the 21st of May, game week 37, or over 2 weeks to the final. So they're gonna want to play. I didn't realize the dates quite works like that, but you're not gonna be resting in 38, I don't think, knowing there's like 8-9 days.
June. What is going on with football?
Yeah, I know.
Seasons are supposed to finish in May.
I'm on holiday from then. Like I've clocked off my football season's done. I'm booked to go away. It'll be interesting. Game week 38 is always loads of fun. Like the amount of goals you get on that last day, it's always good. Always good.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good stuff. Well, let's move away from that. We're going to look at our teams and we're going to be showing our tips and chips section where we're going to speak Liverpool. We'll be answering your questions as always. Seeing some comments coming up. Chelsea nil, Forest nil, says Josh. Gets Footy says we'll actually take that. Fair point. Go and look at Joe Linton points from the last games. Easily the best punt for game week 36. It's interesting. Joe Linton has been playing kind of left of the front 3 quite often. Even when he's in the midfield 3, he looks dangerous. I do think Willock as well has been playing so well. Whether or not he's a great FPL option at the moment, I'm not sure. He's proper cheap. He's like 4.8. But maybe there is options in that Newcastle midfield. The problem for midfield slots is they're just so precious. Accommodating a striker feels easier at the moment for that double game week. We'll continue the show whilst looking at your comments. And guys, make sure you hit that like button if you can. And of course, if you're new around here, we've got watchers from all over the world. We've seen in today's stream already Canada representing. I can see QA. We've saw South Africa. All over. We're
touching every corner of the globe.
Ohio. Oh, we got Perth as well, haven't we? Yeah.
Perth.
Pretty
need
cool.
a map. We need a live interactive map.
Budapest Blades. Russell.
I love that, Russ. Love that.
Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And coming up next, we'll be showing our teams in Pimp My Team.
Okay, so here's my team, which is not what it should be looking like if I'd have actually pressed confirm. But never mind, this is where we are at right now. Zuma was annoying because he's injured, isn't he?
I don't know.
Well, he came off after like 20 minutes or something.
Oh, that doesn't.
They'd conceded and he limped off. He hasn't got an arrow or anything next to his name at the moment, but he literally came off injured in the first
Sometimes
half.
Those flags are slow as well.
Yeah, so I'm not that I had any hope of the Man City. He wasn't supposed to be in this team right now, so that's even worse.
Arsenal boys could
Arsenal
save you.
Might save me.
That'd be hilarious.
I'm actually quite excited about this game tonight because I'm like, a lot of people have obviously made changes for this week and have got rid of Saka or Martinelli, or some people both, and I've still got them as a quirk of not pressing the confirm button. So I've got both, and that is a big hope for me because it's a little bit of a differential. March Mitoma I'm banking on Brighton being on a revenge mission there and actually getting one back on Man United, which actually I think can happen. I really do
Come on,
think that can
Brighton.
happen. Yeah, I think that Brighton can do that. So yeah, it's not been a great game week by any stretch of the imagination so far. It's okay, like dug out by a couple of people so far, but yeah, there's a lot of work for me to do.
Kane's 8 points is useful because a lot, like me, I sold Kane to accommodate a double game week player in midfield. So it was like, Kane could score against
I thought
Liverpool.
Kane was good, actually. I thought Kane played well.
Yeah.
Took his goal brilliantly, and now I've kept him. Like he wasn't supposed to be here. Now that he is still here, I think I'm going to keep him. You know, I mean, this could be his last 4 or 5, whatever it is, games for Tottenham. Like it,
Yeah.
He's not going to not score for the rest of the season. I've probably just jinxed him. Tottenham have got 4 games left. Who are they against? Crystal Palace at home, Aston Villa away, Brentford at home, and Leeds away. Harry Kane is staying. Probably the only thing I would trust in that Tottenham team right now. But he's a bit angry as well, isn't he?
He's proper angry, mate. It was like that. How did you describe it? It's like playing 5-a-side with your rubbish mates.
Yeah, it's like when you're playing at 5-a-side and like you've been put on the rubbish team when they've divvied the teams up, and then you've conceded a few goals and you're just annoyed. You don't have and you just go on one of those little runs where you just storm past everyone, smash it in the bottom corner,
punt it in the corner,
walk back, and don't even look at anyone.
Balling your arms.
Little tantrum.
I like that. Well, your team's proper differential now, mate. So that's good.
Yeah.
Good to see in the chat. We've got CH, our number one chaser, has joined. We've got Ray, lunchtime stream. Shout out to Ray.
Nice.
Good to see you around here, dude. We've got watchers from Dublin and Norway and Scotland and Wexford and Snowdonia and Nepal, which is awesome to
see. Glenn's from Melbourne. Lovely stuff.
Oh, yeah. I got Melbourne in there as well. Melbourne and Perth today.
Yeah.
Down under special.
We're hitting a new audience here, mate.
Yeah, I love that. Let's move on to my team, see how I'm getting on. As I mentioned, I've got 10 of my 11 to play. Stay with us. We've got some Liverpool data to show you very, very soon. I took a minus at 18. I bought in De Gea.
Yeah.
I bought in Salah. And I bought in Jota. So far, all my players that I bought in have delivered. Although I did sell Kane. Like, I don't think I'm up on the move massively yet, but I will be.
Yeah.
So if I go through this team, like, I'm glad I went De Gea over Raya, who did concede. Raya, I knew Forest would score. Trent, Liverpool cannot keep clean sheets for love nor money, and I think it's pretty clear why. Like, playing Trent in midfield is great, but if you're going to play a back three, a semi-back three, Konate cannot be expected to play centre back and right back. There is a gaping hole down that side. Now that's fine if it's a solid back three, but when you've got Andrew Robertson on the left of that three that wants to get forward as well, you're literally leaving a 2-man defence all the time. Van Dijk and Konate cannot manage that, what would usually be a back 4 space as a 2-man defence. And that's what we're seeing. So teams are continuing to target Liverpool down the flanks, and it's working. Not only did Spurs, a poor Spurs team, score 3 goals, they also hit the woodwork 3 times. Like, that was shocking from Liverpool defensively. And is Trent going to get clean sheets many between now and the end of the season? I'm not sure he does, but he will get attacking returns, and that's why he's in the team. An assist again at the weekend. So I'm happy with him. Estupinan could have had a goal comfortably, could have had more assists. It could have been a 16, 17 pointer from Estupinan. I'm happy with the 9. I think points are there. Brighton mids, whatever, you stick with them. Grealish, I said he doesn't shoot. I said he doesn't shoot enough. And what did he do at the weekend? Shot quite a bit.
Yeah, he did.
Crossbar. And he's linking well with Haaland. Grealish is a good FPL asset. I take it all back. What do you reckon?
I've always thought like this combination should be delivering more points of Grealish and Haaland, because I think that they do actually have a good connection. Grealish generally just like is a bit unreliable, but I think I said on the last show that I was jealous because you both had him in your team, and I was like, I really quite like the idea of Grealish, but I can't really get there anymore. I mean, you only got 1 point so far, but West Ham up next and the games that are left, I think he deserved more, and I think that there's promise that there will be more.
What do you reckon on the Man City wide forwards in the last couple of years? They're all greedy, right? If I look at Mahrez, Sane, Sterling, who else has played there?
Foden.
Proper greedy. All of them greedy. Grealish isn't greedy enough. Like,
No.
I think now he's starting to shoot a bit more. I think Pep has said, like, when you're in the shooting position, he's always
Hit it.
looking for Haaland, which is
He's
great, but at
always.
times he just needs to hit it.
I think it's in his nature. Just he likes assists. He just seems to like assists.
Yeah.
He likes to, he's good at crossing and he's good at finding people. And he's got someone that's so reliable at sticking the ball in the net. And I guess you do look for them, but yeah, they do like. He does like to pass rather than shoot. Wayne says Grealish 1 point in each of his last 2 games. Yeah, I think we're not saying he is delivering on points, but he's definitely like playing like he should be getting points. It is a proper eye test case, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like, it's coming. Also, we can look at the last 2 games, fine, but it's actually last 2. But then you go before that, you got 7, a 12, and a 12. So we could take the 2-game sample size, or we could take the 5-game sample size and work it out and go, oh, he's actually quite a good FPL asset.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can manipulate the data to kind of fix our narrative, can't we? But I think
Totally.
he's good. We'll leave it at that. Not great, but good. And then up front, we have to speak. I'm going to save Jota. Because we've got Liverpool data. We have to speak about Haaland, Dean, because the record, like, he's 50 goals for the season now. He's just ridiculous. You have to captain him, don't you? You can't try and think differently. It's a shame. I'd love to think differently, but it's boring. We have to captain him.
I mean, it just happens all the time in this game. Just as we think we're over one here, we're into someone else. So it was Aguero, then it was Salah, now it's Haaland. Like, it's just the nature of the game. There seems to be a dominant player always, and it's just impossible to look past a goal asset like this. It's going to carry on next season. Like, this isn't going to change. I know I'll be starting next season with Haaland as my captain.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you do about it, to be honest, because it does become boring because everyone's got the same captain. Like, everyone's mini league. Like, Haaland scores, it's barely worth even like celebrating it, is it? Even if he scores a hat trick, unless you've gone for the triple one week and you've managed to catch the hat trick, none of it really matters because they're all cancelled out. That's the only weeks that really matter. So yeah, it's a tough one on Haaland. I don't know if there's a differential that we all need in our team that makes up for the fact that everyone's got Haaland. So if you'd have stuck with Salah all season, Salah's actually delivered pretty good points, hasn't he, across the course of the season in this game, even though he hasn't had a great season. So maybe if you'd have stuck with Salah all season and you'd had Haaland and built in the other good point scorers around it, maybe that was the way around it. But it's still an expensive route to go.
Yeah, it is. Loads of questions coming in on Alvarez. I get it. Those that punted have got very lucky because not only did he start game one of the double, he's going to start game 2 because KDB hasn't trained. So against Fulham, against West Ham? I thought they played Fulham. No, Liverpool played Fulham. Yeah, West Ham. Against West Ham, we expect Alvarez to start again. Maybe Foden comes in. We don't know, but I think it'll probably be Alvarez. I think game week 35 is the interesting one because Man City are in the early kickoff. Real Madrid is round the corner. We will probably get a team leak, which on Twitter from some in the knows, there'll be loads of rubbish out there, but there'll be some legit sources that will probably commit to saying Alvarez starts. And if Alvarez starts against Leeds game week 35, here's a really nice punt. But then is he going to start 36, 37, 38? I don't know. It all depends on Kevin De Bruyne fitness. So for me, Kevin De Bruyne fitness is the key, and you just keep looking at those press conferences.
Yeah, Josh said, Pep just said KDB hasn't trained. Alvarez punters have won. Wayne says, hey guys, I finished 30,000th last year and I'm currently 12k this year. Do you think I should start my own channel? No, don't start any channels. We don't need more rivals, Wayne. We don't want to go up against anybody else in these time slots. Just keep coming back here and we'll all share the knowledge. You've got Ali comes in here. He's the world number 1 and we can bounce off him and you can get your rank up even higher. But that is a great season you're having, mate. 12k is very, very good.
Yeah, fair play. That is an awesome, awesome season. Diogo Jota, would I look to sell him to Alvarez in game week 35? Is there a question on that? Possibly, but I think I'll probably be sticking. Look, that Jota slot is probably going to have to go to a Newcastle striker for their double, isn't it? Like, I'm going to want Newcastle striker for game week 36. So I'll probably be keeping Jota for Brentford at home. I like Jota at Anfield. Let's see how he does against Fulham first. Like, he needs to start first and foremost. Let's move on so we can talk about Jota in more detail. And then we'll be answering your questions. We've still got 15 minutes left of the show. Tips and chips. It's Liverpool focus coming next. Just seen Mr. Joran said Jota's a doubt for the Fulham game. If that's a press conference quote or something, do let me know. But I think that's probably just speculation.
Klopp is talking right now, so that's not impossible.
God, don't. We played 29 minutes, came on and absolutely smashed it. I mean, literally into what's his name's head.
That's true.
Oh, I've got a Kevin De Bruyne quote for us. Kevin De Bruyne has now started to move, but has not trained with the first team squad, confirms Pep Guardiola. Okay. Started to move means he's back on the grass, maybe, but not trained properly. So look, he's not going to start tomorrow.
No. I can't see a quote about Jota, but doesn't mean it's not true.
I think he's going to be fine. I think it's scaremongering in the chat. Ben Dinnery. Hang on. Let's have a look, see what Ben says on Twitter. If it's a Ben Dinnery quote, it's obviously legit. But, Diogo Jota took a knock after coming on against Spurs. He didn't train since then. He's a doubt, but I hope he can recover.
Oh, mate.
Oh, my God.
You thought you were over this Jota anxiety.
Honestly. Really? You can't. I mean, another knock against coming off Spurs. How he played 27 minutes.
And he scored the last minute. He scored in the last seconds of the game.
Oh, for God's sake.
Sorry, mate.
And they're not going to want to risk him either, are they?
Jota sucks.
They've got nothing to play for.
Hazel says Jota sucks.
At least I got 4 marvelous points. Great. Well, look, this section was going to be all about how you need to buy Jota. I'm not so sure.
Well, at least we got there in time.
Yeah, I'm glad we delayed it to the end of the show. Yeah. I saw this on FPL Mates Twitter, but the stats aren't FPL Mates. They're from Scout or Hub or wherever. These are look. The illustration is, let's take these two charts separately. First up, against Spurs. This is as much a Jota point as it is a Salah point. So Salah played 90. He's the only one of the front three we know will play 90 and we know will start each week. But Dean, 0.06 XG. 0.6. Like, obviously he had the pen, so he gets 0.78 for that. But outside of penalties, he is a ghost.
Well, we'll see. He's got Fulham next, so I'm not gonna say that before he plays against my team, because we are typically a team that gives you the perfect opportunities to go and score. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. He still tends to get a pen or something in those games where he's not scoring. I mean, Liverpool didn't really have any pens for ages, did they? They've had a few recently. I know he missed one, but at least you can hope he still gets those opportunities. They've got for Fulham as well. Tim Ream has just broken his arm. So,
really?
Yeah, so we haven't got Tim Ream for the
Diop and...
So that'd be Diop and Tosin. They're not terrible at all, but Tim Ream has been, very good for us at the back, and he's kind of the leader of that defence. So that is quite a big absence. Andreas Pereira got injured as well for Fulham at the weekend. So Andreas is not going to be seen probably for the rest of the season. So obviously no Mitro. Willian's it out. Like, Fulham are really under strength going to Liverpool. So, Salah
Harry Wilson against his old club.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at.
So who's going to be on pen? I guess if Kearney comes in instead of Andreas, Kearney's on pens. But if Kearney's not on the pitch, Mitro's not, Andreas isn't. Who's on pen? Oh, I mean, Willian takes a pen, I guess. Can take a pen.
Willian can take a pen. Not sure who would take our pens now. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Vinicius? Not sure. Maybe Vinicius.
Yeah. I tell you what, I mean, I was surprised by how well he took his goal.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not as good as his son, Vinicius Jr., is he?
The Salah one's an interesting one because we've said that against Spurs, and it's a small sample size. We move across to the right-hand side. Over the last 5 games, fair. He's been all right. he's been all right, and it's why I bought him. But he's not been as good per 90 in terms of expected goals, non-penalty expected goals, as Jota. And look, per 90, Darwin's numbers are incredible. But do bear in mind, Darwin won't ever play 90. But when you total it up, he's always been dangerous. But it's just an interesting one to consider, because when we look at these players, if we were to see their prices alongside them, you'd go, oh, Salah costs double Hakpo. It's like, oh, like almost double. And, you know, Jota's still considerably cheaper than Salah, and Darwin's cheaper again. Like, you realize when you're paying the money for Salah, it's like you need him to be top of the charts within his own team. And he's
that is true.
Just one to consider there when you're shopping for Liverpool, if you still are, be cautious over Salah. But also, I think now if Jota is ruled out for any time, you'd look at someone like Diaz and go, maybe he's a short-term punt, because Diaz does seem to be above Darwin in the pecking order for that left-hand side when Jota's not on the pitch, as we saw from the weekend. Diaz did well.
Yeah, absolutely. Ali's in the chat talking to people about Jota.
He wildcarded him in, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
I think he's missed the news.
There's been a quote, mate. There's been a quote from Klopp who says he's doubtful. Got injured, apparently.
Yeah, sorry, Ali. Chat Sport makes an interesting point. He says, look at Salah's position when Darwin comes on. He's so much closer to Darwin. And then look, when Gakpo is playing striker, Salah is far wider. I think that's a fair assessment of that situation too.
Yeah, we showed you the pass map on the last show, and it was really interesting, knowing Trent is playing more inverted as well. It does put Salah wider. Salah's always used to having a bombing on fullback, isn't he? Like, Liverpool historically have always got their fullbacks forward under Klopp, and Trent overlaps Salah. So Salah's not the widest man on the pitch. Well, now Trent isn't doing any of those overlapping runs. Of course he's not.
That's true, yeah.
So Salah's on the touchline. Okay, well, let's come off this graphic and show some questions, shall we? Because loads of chat now. Get your questions in, guys. We have got 6 minutes to answer them. We've got watchers in Norway. That is awesome. Question from Pete. I'm thinking of rank chasing Salah to Son. I don't mind that. Son is showing some signs of promise. He's playing up front as well. Mason seems to...
He was unlucky at the weekend, wasn't he?
Kane deeper and then kind of Son as the 9, doesn't he? Or Son right on the last man.
Yeah, it's much more like the Son we recognised from last season. And he hit the post the other day. He's getting into good positions, wasn't he? Yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout at all, Pete. I think that's probably actually one to chase up, especially went through Tottenham's fixtures there. They're not too bad.
Yeah. Thanks, Pete. Josh says, surely Harry Wilson's decent from the spot. He is from a free kick spot.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I can't really think of too many other people taking pens. Don't know if he's taken one for us, so I don't think I've seen it. I would imagine he's decent, though. Yeah, certainly could see that, Josh.
Grealish to Bruno. I don't know, Ray. It's a tough one because I'm with you. Like, I don't have Bruno. I own Grealish. And we know Grealish is going to miss a game around the Real Madrid fixtures. Of course he is. But he does double in 37 and he is cheap and he is linking so well with Haaland. And the fixtures are there for him. Like, yeah, he's going to miss a game, but he will start one of Leeds or Everton. He will probably play. There's a good chance he plays both in the double. He'll play the final day of the season versus Brentford, which could be a 5-0 as they lift a trophy. Like, I'm reluctant to sell a Man City asset now. Whatever Man City assets I'm on, unless they're injured, I'm very reluctant to sell.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, does it? I mean, Bruno did seem to have a bit of appetite for that goal that he scored, but I don't think there'll be too many more of them. Graham says, hi, guys. Is KDB a keep or a sell? Bought him for the double game week 34, but 0 points so far. You just said you were going to keep Man City assets. Would you keep Kevin De Bruyne if you had him, mate?
Well, I'd want another press conference before I commit. I mean, Pep says he's moving. It's like, oh, okay, he's definitely not playing versus West Ham, but does he play against Everton? I think he probably does. Like, he's going to want KDB. Against Leeds. He's going to need KDB to get minutes before Real Madrid. Yeah. It's such a big game. He doesn't want him going in against Real Madrid, having not played for 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's It's so confusing. I hate this
I
time
think
of the
I'd
season.
hold him.
Yeah.
They play. The decision you've got to make is ahead of the Saturday deadline, isn't it? It's game week 35, Saturday deadline. We'll get a Pep press conference on Friday, and we'll also get a ton of training photos. See KDB in the training photos. You keep him in your team.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, any point to bring the Wilson Isak move up a week with Newcastle's ridiculous attacking form? And who would you go for if only one? Oh, you must have missed at the start, Adam. We were chatting about this quite a bit. To sum it up, I said I would probably go for Wilson at this stage of the season, just because of the appetite he seems to have for goals and making sure he's part of this all next season.
I said the same. I think, or I may not have said it. I think the same.
Yeah.
I think the same. Purely on when they're both on the pitch, you want Wilson because he's the 9. Now, Isak will get more minutes, but I think come the end of the season, game week 36, 37, we'll see Wilson and Isak starting together, which we've not seen, but I think we're going to see it because Howe's going to want to trial it. And now's the time. Pressure's not on. Champions League's wrapped up. We can go, yeah, let's experiment a little bit. I want to see my 2 strikers on the pitch together.
Yeah, absolutely that. Right, last minute or so, everyone. Wayne, who's threatening to start a rival show a minute ago. Let's see what he's asking. Bench Watkins or Isak this week? I haven't even looked properly at the next week.
Watkins has fallen off a cliff. He's had 3 blanks in a row. Isak's flying. I've not looked at the fixtures either. Dean, what are they? But I mean,
so the games that they have got are Newcastle have got Arsenal at home, and Villa have got Wolves away.
Okay, I'd probably play Watkins.
Yeah, I mean,
although Arsenal can't defend. See how Arsenal look tonight. If Arsenal can see goals against Chelsea, they'll concede goals against
It wouldn't surprise
anyone.
me if Newcastle beat Arsenal.
True.
It actually wouldn't surprise. That could be the game when Arsenal's title's done.
And it is at St James's, isn't it?
It's at St James's, 4:30 on a Sunday. Like, you could just see, like, City would have beaten Leeds the day before. Newcastle were like up for it. They've really got nothing to lose at this point. Arsenal got everything to lose. Oh, that's a really tough decision.
Is Lindelof a good option, Gabriel? Yeah, he is. Playing out of his skin, he's like 4.1, 4.2. Man United defence, one of only 2 teams this game week to keep a clean sheet, by the way. Man United defence kept a clean sheet in the FA Cup semi against Brighton over 120 minutes. Man United defence is a good investment. They got double 2. Isak to Kane and captain -4. Captain Kane, yeah, I'd probably want to captain Haaland if he starts, but you could consider Kane.
Be careful, Ahmed. Be careful.
Yeah, I would be careful. Should we sell Gakpo? No, absolutely not.
No, I mean, I kept him by fluke this week, but I'm glad I did, and I'm going to continue to keep him now. There's no need. There's no need at this stage of the season. They've got stuff to play for.
CH says, clean sheets are hard to come by these days. You are absolutely right, CH. Guys, before you go, I've got one favour to ask. I'd love you to subscribe to the channel. It's great. We've got over 259 of you watching. 259 exactly of you watching. But loads of you have just joined in the last 10 minutes. So feel free to go back and rewind and watch the last 50 minutes, the last hour. We've done loads. We've done eye test reports. We've done Dean's notebook. We've spoken about the topical news like from the week so far, including Big Sam's appointment. We've shown our teams. We've done some tips and chips on Liverpool attack. Loads to go back and watch. If you're watching on catch up anyway, then sorry to throw this at you. But before you go, hit the like and subscribe button. But look, we'll be back on Friday as always. Thank you for supporting Chasing Green Arrows. But for now, he's been Dean, I've been Janny, and we've been chasing green arrows.